Hello YouTube. I'm going to be reading from A New Concept of the Universe, written by Walter Russell, regarding singly charged particles. Just as it is impossible to polarize the positive end of a bar magnet without simultaneously polarizing the negative, or to depolarize one end separately, or to create a battery of one cell without simultaneously creating its opposite cell, or to create one hemisphere of a planet without simultaneously creating the other, or to lift one end of a lever without simultaneously lowering the other end, or to deep freeze without generating heat. So it is impossible for man or nature to produce singly charged negative, positive, or neutral particles. There are no negatively charged particles in this universe. Negative electricity discharges while positive electricity charges. The negative depolarizing force functions in the opposite manner and direction to the positive polarizing force. Positive electricity produces the condition of gravity by compression, which means charging or generating. Negative electricity produces the condition of radiation by expanding, which means discharging or degenerating. It is impossible for one of the polarized conditions to be present without the other, for each opposite borns its mate and interchanges with it until each one becomes the other. All particles of matter in the universe are alike in one respect, whether that particle is an invisible electron, planet, or sun. That universal attribute is the fact that each has two opposing hemispheres which are under the control of two opposing balancing poles. One pole controls its charge and the other its discharge. Together they keep the universe in balance. As there is not one law for microscopic mass and another for colossal mass, let us consider the Earth as a typical example, keeping in mind the fact that colossal mass is but many small particles. The Earth is being constantly charged into higher potential by the centripetal multiplying force of positive electricity which polarizes and vitalizes. Incoming sun rays to Earth are a good example. Conversely, the Earth is being constantly discharged into lower potential by the centrifugal dividing force of negative electricity which depolarizes and devitalizes. Witness outgoing Earth rays. Both are the same rays. They have but changed their polarities by reversing their outward direction of expansion to an inward direction of contraction. When sun rays leave their cathode in the sun, they are negative particles, or vortices of motion, which we call matter. Their polarity constantly changes until they change their direction at the equator between sun and earth. They then become centripetally contracting vortices instead of centrifugally expanding ones. After passing their equator, their polarity is positive instead of negative. Their positive charges increase as they near their anode, the Earth. The very reverse effect takes place in respect to radiation leaving the Earth, which is now the cathode for the projected vortices of spiral motion, and the Sun is an anode. The simultaneously charge and discharge of every particle or mass of particles is repeated sequentially in wave pulsations which constitute the universal heartbeat. Every particle in the universe breathes in and out in polarization-depolarization sequences. As there is no exception to this law, it cannot be possible for nature or man to create particles which are singly charged. Science has listed about 20 of these separately charged particles and claimed for them different attributes, just as the elements are presumed to be different substances with different attributes. The time has come when we must think of matter in a new way. Our old concept of substance and of the attributes of substance, which we call matter, must radically change. That revolutionary change is what I now wish to talk about. The preceding pages are but a preparation for a complete transformation of thought concerning matter.